Good morning and welcome to Goodwood 2026 and one of the most anticipated cars ever, the new electric Twingo. It just speaks for itself. I'm Ben Quirk, welcome to Planet Auto.
Making its UK dynamic debut at this year's Goodwood Festival of Speed is one of the most cheerful little electric cars you'll ever see. The all-new Renault Twingo E-Tech. Now let's be honest, you're never going to lose this in a car park. It's finished with this wonderfully green paint, it's bright and it's got a bit of a frog-like face with bags of personality and it's guaranteed to stand out. But the Twingo isn't here just to put a smile on people's faces. It's here to prove that affordable electric cars don't have to be boring. Renault is targeting a starting price of under £20,000, which immediately makes this one of the most accessible EVs on the market. And despite that keen pricing, it promises all the things that buyers actually want. Around 160 miles of range, one-pedal driving, clever practicality and a design that's genuinely full of character. Underneath, the Twingo borrows heavily from the brilliant 5. It sits on the simplified version of Renault's AmpR small platform, but rather than simply shrinking everything down, the engineers took a completely different approach. Their philosophy was something they called right sizing. In other words, every component has been carefully considered to make sure it's exactly as big, as capable and as sophisticated as it needs to be and not a gram more. It's quite a clever way of engineering because they've removed cost and complexity where most drivers would never even notice without making the car feel cheap or unfinished. Take the rear suspension, for example. Instead of using the more complex multi-link setup from the 5, they've adapted the platform to use the torsion beam from the Capture. It's lighter, cheaper to build, easier to assemble, and actually saves around 7 kilograms. More importantly, it doesn't really compromise the way the car rides or handles. In fact, because Renault have cleverly recycled and adapted so many existing components, they've managed to take the Twingo from concept to production in less than 2 years, which in automotive development is incredibly quick. Power comes from a single electric motor driving the front wheels, producing 80 horsepower and 129 pound-feet of torque. Now those figures aren't going to trouble any hot hatchbacks, but that's completely missing the point, because this is a city car. It's designed to be light, efficient and fun rather than fast. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes just over 12 seconds, with a top speed of 81 miles an hour, which is more than enough for everyday driving. Every version comes with the same 27.5 kilowatt-hour battery, giving an official WLTP range of 163 miles. And the really encouraging news is that real-world efficiency seems to be remarkably close to that figure. During the European launch, it was possible to average around 5 miles per kilowatt-hour, which translates closely to 140 miles between charges. And for most people using the Twingo, that's going to be absolutely spot on. Because it shares so much of its DNA with the Renault 5, it's already starting from a very strong foundation. But here's the clever bit. The Twingo weighs around 200 kilograms less than the 5. At just 1,200 kilograms, it's genuinely lightweight by modern EV standards. So many EVs carry a lot of weight thanks to their large battery packs, which can make them feel a little reluctant when the road gets interesting. And the thing is, the Twingo doesn't suffer from that. Instead, it feels alive. Renault has also been able to fit softer springs and dampers thanks to that lower weight. And the result is the ride quality is genuinely impressive.
If you like this type of video, why not subscribe to the channel? You just hit the button on the right hand side. It's free and you'll get an alert every time we upload. Thank you.
At the moment, it's expected to be available in the higher spec Techno trim. And then there's the interior. Despite measuring just 3.79 metres long, the cabin feels remarkably spacious. And Renault have borrowed one of the cleverest ideas from the original Twingo by fitting individually sliding rear seats. Overall, the new Renault Twingo E-Tech feels exactly what affordable electric motoring needs. It's clever without being complicated, practical without being dull, and packed with enough personality to make every journey just that little bit more enjoyable. If Renault can deliver all of this for under £20,000, I think they could have another winner on their hands. Now, we may not have driven it yet, but that changes when we get behind the wheel later this summer. So watch out for a full review coming in August. Thanks for watching.